So, speaker number 2 is Mike Zilli. So Mike is going to be speaking on relationships tonight. So Mike, the reason I asked him is we all can say work-life balance is a myth, but Mike kind of bucks that trend. So Mike is a very successful mortgage lender at Fairway Mortgage, and he also, as you can see in the picture, has a wife and 4 young kids. Mike is in the top, 2 of the last 3 years has been in the top 1% of producers in all of America at Fairway. And he has done so by being done at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday every week and never working weekends and always spending time with family on the weekends. Except for tonight, of course. We're thankful for to have Mike here. But Mike does a really great job of prioritizing his family while still succeeding in his business life. So we're super grateful to have Mike here tonight speaking on relationships. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you. I'm having flashbacks to high school speech class, and the student in front of me just pitched a perfect game. Had like a flawless talk, and then I had to go, so well done, Luke. We actually have, my 20 minutes doesn't start till I'm done with this, Luke. We actually have one more person to thank. When Luke told me he had the idea of this event back in like February, I was like, awesome, I'm in, and it sounds like a terrible amount of work. Have fun with that, and I can only imagine how much work went into this, and it's just an incredible event. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it, the impact, the people in the room, and beyond. So thank you for your friendship, your leadership, just well done. I have a microphone, so I can't clap, but you guys, let's do it. Okay, 20 minutes, we're on. I practiced, and I kept coming up at 21 minutes, so hopefully I'll go fast. So I'm Mike Zilli. As Luke said, I'm a City of Madison resident. I've been here since the late 90s, so about 20 years I've called this home. Just love raising my family here. Speaking of my family, there we are. The beautiful woman to the left of me, or the right if you're looking at her, is Rachel. We just celebrated 16 years in May. She's the love of my life, my joy, my best friend. I'm still wildly in love with her. On the left is Ella, age 7. But next to her is Luca, age 8 and a half if you ask him. Jack is 7, and Gia, the little one on the end there, is 5. So you heard that correctly. We have 4 kids between the ages of 8 and 5. It's as insane as it sounds. Our house is filled with a lot of love and laughter. It's also filled with a lot of bickering, fighting, screaming, tattletelling. Sometimes it's the kids screaming at each other, and sometimes it's dad screaming at the kids. I'll just be real with you. We are not the perfect family by any stretch of the imagination, but we are committed to loving each other. We're just committing to get up, do our best each day, and failing forward. So I have some things that I want to share with you. I have no professional training. This is all trial and error, okay? So I'm going to talk about 3 key relationships. Number 1, the relationship with yourself. Number 2, relationship with your spouse. And lastly, relationship with your family. And for you readers, I'm going to give you a book recommendation for each. So the number 1 relationship that I believe we should focus on is that relationship that we have with ourselves, our own personal growth. And here's why. Number 1 is we have to be our best so that we can give it away to other people, right? And number 2, regardless of what dad says, for better or worse, they're going to model dad, right? They're gonna do what they see. And so it's critical that we focus on ourselves. I can't overstate how important that is. My whole life is set up around promoting and protecting my good health. Physical health included. Luke's probably forgotten more about physical health than I will ever know, but also my mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Every single day, I work hard on these things. I'd say over the last 10 years, as a society, we've probably come a long way in conversations about self-care and mental health, and that's a really good thing. But I focus on it a few ways that I'll share with you. Number 1 is every day I practice gratitude. This has been life-changing for me. So the human brain is not designed to make you happy. Did you guys know that? What was the brain created for? Survival, to keep you alive, right? You're gonna like this, Alan. So compound effect, that Luke referred to. We didn't plan this, just coincidence. So this is one of my favorite books. It's in the top 5 for sure. Maybe it's my favorite, but here's what Darren Hardy has to say about that. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. Your brain has only one agenda in mind: survival. It is always watching for signs of lack and attack. Your brain is programmed to seek out the negative, dwindling resources, destructive weather, whatever's out to hurt you. Left to its own devices, your mind will traffic in the negative, worrisome, and fearful all day and night. So, won't. Bad news there, right? Our brain is not designed to make us happy. I learned this from listening to a podcast that Tony Robbins was on a few years ago, is humans, we have 2 things that we struggle with. Fear, which is what Darren just talked about, and anger. Fear is usually about anxiety in the future. Anger is about something that happened in the past, right? An injustice that happened to us or perceived injustice manifests its ways in anger, bitterness, envy, very toxic stuff. The good news is we have an antidote to both fear and anger, and that's gratitude. Here's how I practice gratitude. I'll give you a couple quick ones. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do when my eyes open is I say in my mind 3 things that I'm grateful for. I used to think about how I didn't want to go to bed, how I hated my alarm clock. Some anxiety would start to creep in for whatever I had going on that day. Now it's such a habit after doing it for years that I can't not do it. I wake up and I immediately say 3 things that I'm grateful for. Then I go to the kitchen and I start boiling water for my French press, because other than these people here, the thing that I love most in life is coffee. So I make my coffee and I sit down and I pull this out. This was about $1 or so at Target. It's nothing fancy, but this is my gratitude journal. Every morning I get my coffee, and for, 3 to 5 minutes, I write down things that I'm grateful for. So inside the first 20 minutes of my day, I've already practiced gratitude and started my day with positive thoughts. And then the other thing that I do is throughout the day, I look for things to be grateful for, and I try to verbalize it. So I do this with my customers all the time. Rather than just saying, hey, thanks for coming in today, I tell them, I am so grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you so much for choosing me. So always be looking for things to be grateful for. Another thing that's really helpful is I don't allow negativity in my life. Back to the compound effect, Darren calls it going on a media diet. I call it a news fast. When I read that book about 7 years ago, I decided I'm not watching the news anymore. It's been years since I've seen the world news, the local news. I don't listen to talk radio. If I took social media off of my phone, except for Twitter, but if somebody's overly political on Facebook, I'll just hide them from my feed. I'm probably not that well informed. I'm probably not that educated of a voter, and I'm okay with that, because at all costs, I keep negativity out of my life. And then Luke talked about this, is the third thing is I choose my associations carefully, okay? Luke mentioned the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Let me read this to you, back to the compound effect. Okay, so who do you spend the most time with? Who are the people you most admire? Are those 2 groups of people exactly the same? If not, why not? Jim Rohn taught that we become the average of the 5 people we hang around with the most. Rohn would say that we could tell the quality of our health, attitude, and income by looking at the people around us. The people with whom we spend our time determine what conversations dominate our attention and to which attitudes and opinions we are regularly exposed. Eventually, we eat what they eat, talk like they talk, read like they read, think like they think, watch what they watch, treat people how they treat them, even dress like they dress. Funny thing is, more often than not, we are completely unaware of the similarities between us and our circle of 5. So, simple but profound idea that we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? So if I want to get fit, I'm going to spend time with people who are fit. I'll start naturally just eating healthy, exercising. I'll improve my fitness. If I want to, say, become a millionaire real estate investor, then I need to spend my time with people who are real estate investors. And pretty soon, guess what'll happen? I'll be buying investment properties and building my wealth. So very simple, but very, very, very profound. So relationship with self, practice gratitude, avoid negativity, and choose your associations very, very carefully. Relationship with spouse. So Rachel and I, like I said, we just celebrated 16 years. The foundation of our marriage is friendship. We started as friends. We met towards the end of college, and we don't have one of those like romantic storybook, I saw her from across the room and said, that's the woman I'm gonna marry. In fact, she didn't like me at first, and she thought I was a wee bit arrogant. I contend that it wasn't arrogance. It was my 21-year-old self's insecurity being masked by arrogance. But either way, she finally came around. I won her over. But our relationship was started as friends. We just spent time, and I just remember, she still does to this day, just I feel good when I'm around her, right? And so I wanted to spend more and more time with her, and we became friends, invested more time as friends, and then it grew into a romantic relationship. And I woke up one day, and I was like, I don't want to live without this woman. So she was going to spend a summer in China, the summer after her senior year, studying. And unbeknownst to her, I went and bought a United Airlines ticket from Chicago to Beijing, and about halfway through her trip, I showed up in China, ring in hand, got down and asked for her hand in marriage. And here was the thought process. If I fly across the world, she can't say no. If she does, I'm going to have one heck of a story to tell. But today, the focus of our relationship is still our friendship. I think when relationships dissolve, often it's because of this reason. People stop focusing on the friendship. Your relationship can very easily become like a business partnership, right? We're managing the kids, we're managing careers, we're paying bills, and we're just coexisting. And it's so easy to stop focusing on each other, and then what happens is people drift apart, and they'll say things like that, right? We just became different people, we drifted apart, we fell out of love, and no judgment, but I would contend that they just weren't focusing on the marriage enough or putting the friendship time in. I find that a spousal relationship is just like health. What I put into it, I'm going to get out of it. It's just like my business. What I put into it, I'm going to get out of it. So a couple of quick ways that we focus on our friendship, this isn't rocket science, but trust me, it's helpful, is we make date night a priority. So Thursday night's usually our night. It's Luke's fault that we're not having date night this week. But last Thursday we did it. Most Thursdays we do. We usually just go out, do something simple, go out to dinner or go for a walk and get whatever. Sometimes when during the school year, we'll just do breakfast instead, but we need time away from the kids to just connect as a couple. The other thing I do is every 3 or 4 months, I'll plan a little getaway for us. Sometimes it's a great, spectacular trip, and sometimes it's really simple. I'll just get a hotel on Priceline for cheap in Madison or Milwaukee, and we'll just take 2-3 days away from the kids. We need time away from the kids. We really need time away from the kids to connect. And here's what I would say. Go out on that date. If you talk about the kids the entire time, schedule the next one and keep talking until you can't talk about the kids anymore. Learn to connect as friends again. Another thing about marriage, it's so important to give grace. Give your spouse grace. Rachel is so easy to be married to. She's so graceful. It's what I appreciate about her so much. She doesn't point out my flaws. She doesn't nag at me. She's always in a good mood. It's just really easy being married to her. Early in our marriage, I really struggled with this because I was an idiot, and I thought, I got this person now to meet all my needs and make me happy, right? And so anytime that didn't go my way, I got offended, and those little offenses build up, and then next thing you know, you got contempt in your heart towards your spouse. And so in your marriage or in your relationship, if whatever your relationship is, just be the one to lead and give grace. Forgive and be graceful. And then I promise a book recommendation. If you want, I've read a lot of books on marriage. The one that I recommend the most is called His Needs, Her Needs. The author is Willard F. Harley Jr. On the back it says, "What will it take to make your marriage sizzle?" Who doesn't want that, right? But the author talks about how men and women each have 5 basic needs that they're looking for in a romantic relationship. And guess what? They're not the same. So it's really important that we understand our spouse's needs so then we can go and meet them. So that's marriage. All right. Let's do kids before I run out of time. So my story, I call myself a reluctant dad. That's my story. I always knew I wanted kids, but when it came time to like get the family started, I was just scared. Like, you know, and it's tough because people come up to you and they're like, "You're having a baby, congratulations, I'm so excited." And I was terrified. I didn't have a lot of experience with kids growing up, didn't know anything about babies, and I was just mostly scared. And I think this is probably common, fairly common in young men, but we don't feel like we can talk about it. So whenever I meet a soon-to-be dad, I just try to pull them aside and say, "Hey, I don't know how you're feeling. Here's how I felt." And sometimes they're like, "Oh my God, thank you. You're the first person that said that to me." Okay. But the funny thing is being a dad today is my favorite thing in the world. I just love being a dad. We have a few family rhythms that I think are really, really helpful because it's chaotic, it's messy, right? So here are those family rhythms. Number 1 is we practice something called Kid of the Week. I got 4 kids, and we just rotate. Each week, somebody gets to be Kid of the Week. This is a place of high honor in our house. They love being Kid of the Week. And if you ever forget who Kid of the Week is, oh, they know. Here's what Kid of the Week does. First of all, it settles disputes before it even starts. Last piece of cake, who gets it? I don't know. Kid of the Week. Mom's going to the grocery store. I can only bring one of you. Who wants to go? Kid of the Week. Kid of the Week doesn't want to go. They get to choose. So they love it. But the best part of Kid of the Week is whoever the Kid of the Week is gets to spend one-on-one time with Dad. And if we didn't have this rhythm, it just wouldn't happen because life's too chaotic. So on the weekend, whoever the Kid of the Week is, we'll go out just the 2 of us, and we'll do something simple, hop on our bikes and go get ice cream, or I'll take them to the coffee shop, get them a hot chocolate, and we'll play a board game or something. But that's my one-on-one time with them, ability to invest in just them. And here's what I'm hoping and praying for. I'm fully aware as they get bigger that at some point, Dad's not going to be the number 1 guy in their life, right? I'm not going to be the person who they want to spend their time with most. But I'm giving myself a fighting chance. I'm making this a rhythm now so that hopefully as they age, they still feel like they can come and hang out with Dad. Another thing that we do is family dinner. It's not complicated, but it's so important. During the summer, not so much. You know, weather's nice most nights. We're outside. The neighborhood's alive. We're doing things. But during the school year, we're super intentional about this. And when we're doing family dinner, we do highlights and lowlights. Okay? I have small kids, so we go around the table and share them. A highlight might look like this. I got a 10 out of 10 on my spelling test today. Great job, Jack. I know you studied hard on that. Or so-and-so's birthday was today and they brought in cupcakes. A low light might be, Emma didn't want to play with me on the playground today. And we can talk about that. Say, I'm sorry to hear that. You and Emma are such good friends. Why do you think she didn't want to play? And so what we're doing is we're building transparency with them at a young age. And again, I don't know what they're going to be like as teenagers, but I want to develop this now, plant those seeds so that they always feel like they can talk to Mom and Dad. Not just about successes and victories, but about failures and other things that they're going through. When I was a teenager, I carried a lot inside. There was no way I was sharing that with my folks, right? And I want them to know that it's okay to not be okay, that we all struggle, that we all fail, and that we can work through that together. Final family thing I want to share with you is I leave the phone at home. Put down the phone. I have a group that I meet with, a group of men that we meet in the downtown Middleton at the Barriques every Tuesday morning. It's one of the best parts of my life. We read books, we talk about stuff like this, family and leadership, and a couple of years ago, we read this book called The Tech-Wise Family by Andy Crouch. And I thought, this is going to be great. This will help me put some parameters around my kids' technology use, you know, some rules about the iPad. And I'm reading it, and I'm reading it, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my God, I have a technology addiction. I didn't even realize how bad it was. We would take the kids out to dinner, and we'd get them settled, and they'd be coloring on the kids' menus. And I'd take my phone out and start scrolling. We'd go to the park, same thing. They'd run off to the playground equipment. I'd take my phone out, and I'd start scrolling. And I just wasn't present, and I had no idea. So I was like, I got to get extreme. I just leave it at home now. A few weeks ago, we went to the farmer's market. They were doing cows on the concourse, so take the kids, see the cows, drink some chocolate milk. I left my phone at home, and I wanted coffee, so I told Rachel, I'm going to go to Collectivo and get coffee. Then I'm going to come try to find you, and if I can't, I will be sitting on that bench. Circle around and find me. It was like the 1980s or 90s all over again. And guess what? It was okay. We found each other. But it allows me to be so much more present. You start to notice things. I notice like people are on their phone all the time. It's crazy. So just make it a habit. Even when you're on your date, when you're with your kids, leave it in the car. It'll be okay for an hour. I promise. So rhythms of life for family, kid of the week, family dinner, and put the phone down. Luke's given me the 1 minute, right? So I'll end with this. There are no perfect parents. There are no perfect spouses because there are no perfect people, right? We all have a past, and we all have failures. We might have failed marriages. We might have a child that has gone in a direction or made choices that we wouldn't want for them. So many people carry guilt and shame around about those things, and please don't. Like, please, if you're gonna forgive one person, please forgive yourself. The shame and the guilt that comes from your past mistakes, particularly around your family, like, man, it doesn't serve you well at all. So give yourself grace. The only thing that matters is now, today, this moment, how present we are and how well we love people. I'm Mike Zilli. Thank you.